jump right in. We have 4 times through. Single leg deadlifts. We're doing 8 reps per leg. I'll talk about different variations of these, weighted or unweighted, of course, always, and whether your back leg comes off the ground or not, or both a matter of taste. Followed by 20 plank shoulder taps. That's total. So every time you touch your shoulder, it's 1. Right. If it just needs to be a plank hold, we don't want to be on the wrists. This just be a plank hold. No stress. Maybe about 30 seconds or 20 to 30 seconds on that plank hold if we're substituting. Followed by 3 times through, 6 per side, tempo push-ups. So I don't say per side, where that come from? 6 reps.
Okay, that's that was confusing me because I was like, okay, I get the descent. But are we doing them one arm? No, Jesus.
Copy pasted. It was
It's
push up
okay.
with rotation, which is why I didn't remove the per side bit. Feel free to edit. 6 reps of a tempo push up, 3 seconds on the way down, a 1 second pause, and then press up, back up as much as fast as you want. These, like anything else, can be heavily assisted. But that pause at the bottom, I'll be clear, it is not a resting at the bottom. Very different. After your 3 sets, kind of a sneaky 4th, really. You're gonna do as many reps as possible with no tempo, just down and up. So a little arm burner, if you will, upper body. And then we have kind of to finish the whole thing. I said 3 to 4 rounds, well, kind of depending on what people are feeling today. And time is 10 per side reverse lunges into a knee raise, 10 glute bridges with a 2-second pause at the top. Dumbbells are optional. So if you want to weight this, you are more than welcome. If you don't, that's fine. And then 10 overhead presses, whether you have a single object or double. And we'll talk about how we can work those depending on your equipment options. Shall we get moving? Let's start with, okay, I'm gonna be fully transparent. I'm gonna drink coffee. I'm gonna have you guys do cat cows. I'll get there. I'll join you, I promise. Starting with 10 cat cows. I'm normally up at 4 a.m., but today I slept till 5 because I'm breaking the rules. Any time with these?
I'm trying to get on that regimen, but then I probably wouldn't make it to the 6 because then I'd probably get my workout done at 5.
I mean, yeah, I respect that. I mean, if it means that you end up doing it earlier, I mean, obviously you don't know what it is. Just, I get that. Yeah. I just need a really long time to wake up. That's part of the problem.
I just need 30 minutes
Wow.
or 15 minutes, really.
I was gonna say, if you can share some of that with me, I'd really, it would make my wake up times much more reasonable. If I didn't have to wake up an hour and a half before my first, this is a little bit different as in my house, but like when I'm going in to the gym, I need to be a whole person. I'm like 85% person right now. But we have to go and be in person. I need a full hour and a half before things happen. After your cat cows and your bird dogs. Let's go ahead and do the shin boxes. So, and then see the order of these are not super critical. It's just sort of, I like to keep the floor work on the floor and then we come back to standing. So feet are shoulder apart. Yeah, keep it gentle. If this feels super extreme, maybe make it less extreme, or find an alternative hip exercise that you like. I just go with gentle because I find that if we're doing this in real time, as in 6 a.m., most of us, even if you've been up since 5:30, still pretty At least my body isn't working quite as well as like an afternoon or evening workout. It's okay doing a hold position. So I know I say 10 reps, but I'm having a little hip tightness, which is totally fine. I might just stay in one spot a little bit longer. You can still do 10 or reduce the number of reps and spend time in static positions if that feels like something you'd like to do instead. So kind of giving you guidelines, but permission to try something different, noodle around, see what
Same
works for you.
for accountability. I need to book a fit on my gravel bike.
Yeah.
It's a new bike. I was like, this looks
Yeah.
pretty good. I can eyeball it.
Well,
This feels fine. But yesterday, like I rode 4 times on it last week, and I love it. But my hip last night was like, we do not love it. So that's just a fit issue, I'm sure.
Well, you also just have to ride it for a bit because how would you know, right? If you
It's
don't
true.
ride,
Now I know. Now
I
I need.
know.
Now I need to message Ivan and be like, "Hi, new bike day. Who dis?"
Yeah.
Before it turns into an injury.
That's what I did with Brian. I was like, he's like, ride it for a bit. Like it looked like just see what you like. And
Yeah.
then if you have some issues, then come to me and let's figure it out. So and I was riding it for a while before I came to him anyway. Let's go ahead and do our inchworms next. So this is where I'll keep the
Oh, we're gonna be awake after this.
touch your toes. You can bend your knees. So a knee bend here is fully welcome if you need to bend the knees. If you can't touch the ground, it's okay to reach forward gently. You're gonna walk out to your plank shape, right? You can. I'm dropping the knees because I'm tired, but we're gonna just lay down, and then we're gonna just gently get back up again. A little warm up is fine here. Gently. I'm gonna stand back up. I realize Meg, your toe. We can adjust.
Watch this. Watch this. Watch this.
Can you
Ready?
do it? Can you do it? Do you have dorsal flexion? Stop it. We should get you on sprinting blocks next.
Yeah, maybe not.
No, not sprinting yet.
I don't. We'll see after the push-ups. I'm gonna try to do maybe half of them with toe and half of them without.
Okay. Excellent.
I don't want to overdo it, but
Fair enough.
it can be done. Let's put it that way.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. These interims, I have to do 5 of these. You may stand up between reps, or not. I feel like that is more of a matter of taste and preference. But if you do tend to get dizzy in either direction, it's okay to just sit down or kneel or stand up, depending on what portion of this movement you're in. Okay, so I'm not necessarily asking you to get dizzy and fall over. Not necessary. But either way, I just want you to getting up and down, if possible, about 5 times. If you're a yogi and you have the thoracic mobility to do the up dog, down dog bit, congratulations. I'm trying, I promise. Beautiful. Okay, so once you have your 5 reps, let's go ahead and get some squats. I know we're not squatting today inherently. We're going to be doing more deadlifty shapes, but it's just nice to see how the hips and just things are moving basically, or not. So feet, nice comfortable stance. I would go about shoulder width. And from the side, I'm just going hips back, squatting down. If you need balance, I just stick my hands out for balance. In this case, my feet are fully flat on the ground for now. Okay, just kind of seeing what your body is telling you. If it's a little cranky, a little stiff, that's cool. We're gonna listen. Okay, let's have you do 10 body weight squats. Not worrying about how deep you're going. If you hit parallel or below, great. If not, don't worry about it. Also, my hair's really big this morning.
We love it. We love to see it.
Nikki
Big
calls
hair, don't care.
Nikki calls it big lesbian hair, which is true. Um, okay, so what we're gonna do next is 8 per, we're gonna practice our work. In fact, we can even just count this as a practice round or just go ahead and call it round 1. Single leg deadlifts. This could be part balance exercise. This could also be loaded. For some people, weight can be a nice counterbalance. It could also be a challenge. So ultimately, when you're deadlifting, whether you're going single legged or not, the hips are moving behind the knee. So I'm not moving the knee forward. I'm moving the hip back, right? So my torso in this case is the weight I'm carrying. This curve of my back is okay as long as I'm not extending or changing that from my normal posture. And then if I'm going with a single leg variation, that's just my hinge pattern. I can go lower, but we're not going to today. It can either be foot down, right? Oops, excuse me. So you see this foot down, hip backs, foot down. If you want to bend the knee, you can, but it's about this hamstring and glute, right? So that'd be kind of that way here. Otherwise, we can pick that back foot up. So ultimately, so I have it in my opposite hand because I like to, but you can have it same sided. It could be here. So this for me is my single leg deadlift, my foot down. Or we can go more of a foot up variation where a little more challenging. My balance is more challenged. But time you practice 8 per side. Your feet can come back together. Right? If you're like a little wobbly, right? Something to consider is instead of if you feel like, it's okay if you can't, you can look in the mirror if you need to. If the foot or the hip turns away, I'm exaggerating here, but trying to rotate the hip and the toe down. If you need to go unweighted, that's also a great exercise. You might not need a weight to make this challenging. I do want your front foot at 12 o'clock. So no toe out, okay? Good. If you can touch your kettlebell to the ground, lovely. If you can't, that's fine. So whatever you're carrying, it's less about you touching your object to the floor, more about your hip going back. After your 8 per side, we're gonna do your shoulder, you're playing shoulder taps. So that's pretty simple. You're gonna be in a plank shape, top of your push-up. Again, you can use the sort of assisted plank with the knees down, or we can go full this way, right? I like to go cross, so my left hand to right shoulder, but you can go the opposite. I'm trying not to move my hips. Try to avoid tilting my hips side to side. Okay. Imagine I'm doing my back nice and flat. Let's go. A gentle butt squeeze. Now you want to save your toes for this one. We can find a different variation. Rappies. Beautiful. Yep. So once you've done your 20 shoulder taps, that's 10 per side. If you want to count it that way, you can roll right into your next round. We're doing this a total of 4 times. You've just done this once. Nice.
They start to feel a little toey around 15, but so I'm gonna try to do 2 sets with.
That's totally fine. The other thing too is you could just substitute it for another ab piece. It just might be like a planky thing. So if you want to find like a hollow hold instead, like a flutter kick, kind of laying on your back instead. Sure, that's great. I would say how you carry your weight, totally up to you, right? Whether it's on your standing leg or the opposite. So whatever you find more comfortable, it's going to be a totally fine move. I just like to go opposites because it works for me.
Mine keeps doing opposite for me, keeps me from falling.
Yeah, I agree. But it's funny. I find that some people prefer
Yeah,
lateral, same side, and they feel more balanced that way.
yeah.
It doesn't have to make sense as long as it works for your body. It's also good to know. So if you want to challenge yourself, you can just make it uncomfortable. Great. And with the shoulder taps, speed is less of a, well, okay, Coach May side with big toe. Control is a factor. So can you control and do it with a nice steady tempo versus quick and fast. And if you need to take a knee at any point or relax or take a break, that's okay. There you go. The deadlift, keep the knee soft. So if you tend to lock out your knee joint, go ahead and just think about bending it a little bit. If you don't, then don't worry about it. If I'm ever feeling overconfident on my single leg deadlifts, I just wonder if I'm standing up with a locked knee, because that's usually what's happening. I have a friend visiting next week, and I have to tell them, like, I'm gonna be on my bike trainer in the afternoon. So it's like, we'll see, you're welcome to hang out, but I'll be sweating on a bike.
They can go explore too while you bike.
Oh yeah, no, they're great. Like, we've been friends for years, so like they're very capable of taking care of themselves, but not good at playing host.
I mean, we can move some stuff if you need to.
No, it's
But
fine.
I'm not the one who signed up for the thing called the what?
The Alive Ride.
Uh,
The Alive Ride.
You're gonna thrive ride is what they should call it.
I only thing I'm mildly concerned about is just, and there's no real way to practice this except for doing it. It's just, 10 hours sitting down.
Yep. I am here to tell, well, first of all, pack the ASOS cream for after, that's for sure. And
Yes.
lots of chamois.
Yeah.
And,
We are playing
that's
champagne.
why we do back-to-back days over the weekend.
Yeah.
I will tell you, they may call it the death ride, but I have yet to have an athlete die during it, just saying.
I mean, I hope so.
And again, they all trained for it, so.
I hope it's more of like I hope so. I'm not actually there to die. That's not what I'm there for. There to suffer, but there's a difference. Nice work. And if you have a wobbly leg, I definitely have a wobbly leg.
I do have my left foot, so that's what Britt joked when I came back. She's like, why couldn't you have broken your left foot? She goes, I'm just kidding, but that's my one.
Well, it's funny you say it. So I feel like most of my knee, like the contusions, like the bumps on my knee, are on one knee, and I don't.
My left foot is really hard to balance because I have a big toe injury on that one from ages ago, and I have a lot of arthritis in there. To which my ortho was like, well, these are the things we're gonna do, and we'll just do them until it tells you have to stop. And I went, you better give me 20 years, buddy.
Yeah.
I was like, that's great. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. What's funny, like, I think because we tend to be dominant or favor a side, whether, in movements. So when we are in situations where we're going to fall down or take an impact, we probably go to those sides because we're dominant on those sides.
Yeah.
But then we end up injuring that as well. It's just this weird. But I think like my kneecaps, like on my left knee, are extra sensitive. That's the ones that I keep hitting. And so if I whack that, it feels just harder and it hurts more. But it's always that one every time, especially my steering column of my car. That's the worst. Makes you want to cry.
It's usually not like it usually just like both feet when I do single leg stuff.
Yeah.
Requires, it's like the first 2 reps are a little wobbly and then I get it together.
Yeah.
But the left foot is more so, and then if I get tired, I start to wobble.
Totally.
This is the last round of this, I believe, right, Tashara?
I think Tashara was quicker, was a little faster on.
Great. I'm usually the fast one.
That's fine. Or it's fine. Sorry, you're fine. We'll hang tight for
I'm
a
on
second.
number 4, right? We were doing 4 of these?
4. Yeah, that's correct.
My left hamstring for some reason is like super tight
Okay,
and crampy, so I'm just stretching it out.
that's totally fine. Yeah, and I think the nice thing about the single leg, technically they're single leg Romanian deadlifts. The nice thing about them is you don't have to go to the ground, right? Like you can that hamstring's a little cranky. You can go to the edge of that discomfort and stop. Like you don't have to touch the floor, right? Which is quite nice. But if you're feeling a little cranky, no need to. We don't have to poke it or anything. Do anything crazy. It's hard to demonstrate, but I find a really effective hamstring release thing is you have a ball at home, like a lacrosse ball or something like that, or something round, and a hard surface. So dining set, bench, whatever. If you sit on it, find your sit bone of that hamstring. So let's say my left. I'll find my sit bone, my butt, and then roll it towards my knee. So that's where your hamstring inserts into your glute or your kind of your butt. And you can oftentimes kind of prop yourself up. So I'll kind of push up on the chair so I'm not sitting on it fully. But oftentimes if you can get into the insertion points of muscles, that's a really lovely way. Even at the belt, let's say my bicep, let's say the pain's right here. But if I go to the insertion points, it's easier to address that sometimes than like massaging the muscle itself. Because hamstring's a big muscle, right? It's like back of your leg. So if you can get that sit bone just towards the knee, often I find it's very therapeutic. That being said, if it feels horrific, maybe not, but I find it's nice.
All right, let's do push-ups.
Let's do some push-ups.
So excited about these.
So I guess technically it's 4 times, okay? But the tempo is 3 times. Yeah.
3
So
times tempo, and then the last one you're
and
gonna
last one is
time us.
no tempo. So 6 reps, not per side, just 6 reps. Now, I want to be very clear, your pause, regardless of whether you are using your knees, elevating your hands, or doing this in your full push-up variation, it's all okay to mix and match those 2 things. But ultimately, 3 seconds down is quite a long time. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, hold, press. Okay. So the idea here being, I'm not holding and resting, unless of course.
There's no at the bottom. Is that what you're saying?
And look, if you have to, sure. But that's technically you're resting, not pausing.
I get it. I was joking.
I know you know, but this is for everyone else who might think that's pause. Try and keep that tempo smooth, Meg. So try and keep the same, in this case, lack of speed.
1, 2, 3.
There you go. So pausing at the bottom, right? So holding, hold, press. If you need your knees for this, that's fine, because that pause is just not nice. It just adds a little
I'm gonna
extra.
do knees next one. That did get really toey.
Yeah.
I feel like
Because
how
you're
I
almost
feel
spending
for
more
making
time.
it all the way through those planks, though. Just saying.
That's good. This is also actually not a bad, using your knees here is totally okay. Yeah, there we go. And then you can actually hold that pause. Good. It's okay to rest between these tempo sets, by the way. It's gonna be a long rest, but it's okay to rest before doing it again. Right?
We're doing 6.
6 reps, 3 times with the tempo.
One more.
But you said as many rounds as possible.
Sorry, let me get
That's the last one.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's a little confusing. Just for the first 3 sets,
Okay.
you're doing that 3, 2, 1, the 3, 2, or 1, 2, 3, pause, press back up. On the last set, that's when we go with no tempo, just up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah, so that was a little unclear.
Ugh.
I'll say this for anyone interested. If push-ups are your jam, okay, you're like, I've got this, coach, give me more. But you don't necessarily want to add weight because putting weight on your back is annoying. If you move to plate, is all you need to make your push-ups harder is shift your weight forward. So instead of having shoulder over wrist and kind of like, I would say, a pretty balanced plank position, right? All you need to do is shift your weight, not Meg, onto your toes. So over my shoulders. So as I come down, this becomes way harder. Because at least it is for me, because you're loading more of the shoulder. So a bit actually like a yoga push-up sometimes where they kind of shift over the wrists. I will say this requires more wrist mobility, but it is a very simple way to make your push-ups extra spicy.
Okay, we're doing AMRAPs. You ready? You timing us?
Oh, sorry. Good question. AMRAP is as many reps as possible in this case.
Oh, just until failure.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if it was AMRAP to look for like a minute.
Good question. Yeah, I guess that could, it has more often when we talk about AMRAPs, it's like in a workout context where it's like AMRAP 10 minutes, AMRAP whatever. No, this is just as many reps as possible.
Okay.
Okay. So this can be resting as you need before you do this. And then you can count, pick a scaling option, right? So whether it's like plank down, knees up, or whatever else, and stick with that. Good. In this case, just breathing through your reps here, right? Keep your butt squeezed. Help and tuck your hips underneath you. The nice thing on push-ups is they just kind of stop when they don't work anymore. So you'll know.
Okay, 10 with toes, 5 without.
Nice job.
That'll do for today. That's just a lot of progress. I'm just saying.
That is a huge amount. That's a huge amount of progress.
I've been hopping like a mofo.
For your lunges, Meg, are you going to be okay with stepping back, or do you want to change that to like a squat and a knee raise?
Probably. Okay, I can reverse lunge if I have a flat foot in the back. So you call it. Let's see.
Let's just 2-foot squat. That's fine. We don't have to load the big toe because it's more about this. This is more about
Because we do something similar like this in PT where I'm stepping back, but it's the knee raise. It's that like deloading. I can do that. And it's not painful. I just have, it has to, the thing is now I can load that toe if it's straight.
Yeah. Okay.
The damage is if I have any like rotation or lateral move.
Yeah.
Like if I get wobbly, I gotta.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. Honestly, I don't mind whether you go single leg or not. So whether it's a 2-foot squat into a knee raise, the knee raise is just for balance, right? Or to increase a balanced load. So if you need to keep the feet flat, both feet on the ground, squat and then knee raise, great. I'm gonna do it. As written, I have it written as per side. Reverse lunge steps, if this is an option. So this is one of those things where you don't need the back knee to touch the ground, although it can if you really like it to. My front foot is always going to be forward, okay? So I don't want to rotate this, especially when I'm going single legged. So as I step back, I want my foot pointing to 12 o'clock. So stepping back, I'll go to this, my right leg working. So I'm going to lift my left leg here, back knee can touch the ground. You can touch the floor and then raise your knee. If you want to be fancy about it, maybe you skip a step. Or maybe you skip both. Here. So that. I don't mind any of those variations. Yeah. If you need to, and I will say, if you need to be near something, let's say like near a wall, something comfy, just so if you're a little wobbly, that's fine. We can't do a backwards lunge. We can just squat instead. So 2-foot squat. 6 your leg, knee raise. Back down. All right. In front. Squat. Knee raise. Good. Yeah, beautiful. You may as complex or as simple as needed. Followed by 10 glute bridges with a 2-second pause. So weight is optional. Don't need to add weight, but if you want to, you can grab something like a dumbbell, pretty much heavier than the one I have now. Gonna hold it on your hip. You're gonna squeeze your butt. Hold 1, 2, down, that's 1. Hold 1, 2, down, that's 2, until you hit 10. Beautiful. Okay, followed by your overhead press. The overhead press, you can do this kneeling or standing. I'm just gonna kneel because my setup makes more sense for this. But standing up is definitely easier between the two. I have dumbbells here. Okay, this is when we have multiple things. We'll talk about it if you have one object. So ultimately, the weight on my shoulder. With dumbbells, I like to have, right, the head touching. I'm kind of sharing the weight from my shoulder, my elbow, and my wrist. When I'm doing this, right, whether I'm standing or I'm kneeling, my butt is squeezed. You can't see it, but it's squeezed. My rib cage stays down. So I'm not letting it do this, right? And I press overhead, rib cage down, press. If I can't get all the way up here, that's fine. Don't push it into anything you can manage. We can also go single armed. So sometimes we have two objects. It's more challenging because we have to control two things. If you want to stand strong, that's totally fine. My current setup makes a lot more sense this way. Just make sure your butt stays squeezed. It also makes it a little bit harder if you're kneeling on the ground. If you need to take it to like a half, like a take a knee, that might be a little easier because the hips don't have to work so hard. Just make sure you switch legs at 10. If you have one object,
Yep.
we can go with the goblet, or you can go one-sided.
Okay.
Right, and just do 10%. That's fine, because that way you can. Sometimes if the object's too narrow, that makes it really challenging because you're like, your grip's really narrow, right? So if yeah, you have it upright, but that's fine, same idea.
It's harder for me if it's upright.
Yes. This is just 18 pounds. And I can't do that with 18 pounds. An upright kettlebell press is a great option. I'm just not capable of doing it with one of my arms. So it's
Yeah, my left arm has a hard time. That makes sense though.
totally fine. What's nice about an upright kettlebell, if it's an appropriate weight, is
Hey, she's jumping in.
the grip gets harder. And that's not bad. You can even hold this shape. But gripping harder is not necessarily a bad thing unless you have some tendonitis/opathies in your wrist and shoulder. Beautiful. We're just going to roll through this. I will say, I do encourage you to rest between things or maybe between rounds, depending on your intensity level. Speaking of Alcatraz, the amount of disc wheels I saw this weekend. Are people riding disc wheels for Alcatraz?
Yeah, pros will.
Seriously?
Seriously, there's
With
no
the-
reason
with the
not to. It's
terrain?
not that windy comparatively speaking.
No, but like the gearing though. Like
You can put any size cassette on that, and most of those pros, those hills, if you're a strong climber, those hills are technical, but they're not
hmm,
except for Steel Rock, right there, that little tiny bump.
I know it's Steel Rock, yeah. I guess so. And it's not the wind, it's just like I don't understand why people are going full TT for this ride. Because of the bumps.
Because they're pros and every second counts.
Uh-huh.
Those guys are bitching. I mean, look at like Martin Van Mill.
I should probably know who that is, but I don't. But I believe you.
He's the T100 world champion currently. And
Okay.
he's a really, I mean, dude's a strong climber. Very strong in the bike. Magnus Ditliff.
Hmm.
these guys that can push well over 300 watts for 3.5 hours if they needed to, or for 5 in a full Ironman.
Yeah.
Getting over those hills is not a big deal. Okay, wait, what was the third?
But I get the impression that I'm getting the impression that a lot of people I saw this weekend aren't those pros. Does that make sense? Like they look like those pros?
Well, they're racing Saturday, and I know a bunch of them have arrived. So like Rico Bogan's there.
Hmm.
But then there's gonna be guys, you know, the wannabe pros.
That's
And
what I'm concerned about, not the actual
they want
pros.
to.
The
Whether
wannabe.
it's a better choice or not, they're gonna ride them. These are the same guys that are gonna wear arrow everything, even if their position sucks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. They could buy Arrow socks for what?
Hey, arrow socks work or calf sleeves work. Don't diss the calf sleeve. I'm a
Okay,
big
well, this is true. I'm not saying they don't work,
yeah.
but it's not free speed because they are.
Well, you still need to like it's only free watts if you were going to be pushing those watts anyway. It doesn't like make you not have to push those watts.
I get that. So I said for this section, 3 to 4 rounds. Like I said, you can sort of choose based on volume and frankly time available to you. I will also say we flew through the session today. Both of you are extremely fast. So what I will say is we can do a couple things. I know Meg's rolling through final round here, or I think final round possibly. We can either add a little active recovery, so some stretching stuff, maybe some hamstringy things if you need to, or maybe anything else you might want to address. That could be things that affect you day to day, or in sport. Okay, so it doesn't have to be specific to sport necessarily, to be applicable here. So whether it's active stretching, foam rolling, or soft tissue based stuff like balls or foam rollers versus stretching, and or we can add a little kind of core piece at the end, or if you want a little extra few minutes on your day, because who doesn't want an extra few minutes? That's fine too. Okay, so
I like Tashara, she doesn't f around.
she's like,
Get the done.
I was gonna say I have some clients who like we barely get through, you know, in the gym, like a barbell lift. We barely get through like 5x5 back squats. Okay. And they're fine with that, by the way. They're cool with that. And some people are like, great, they get through warm up, strength, accessory, and they're like, so what's next? And I was like, okay, all right, so we're doing more. It depends, you know?
I'm down for the foam roll and
A little recovery.
In defense, doing single arms on this takes a little longer.
Yeah, single arm does take a while when you're doing one. Yeah, you do. That was not, we're not not throwing shade at you, Meg, for being slow.
Oh, I don't have any. I know that normally I'm not the slowest.
No, but you're also doing not twice the work, but you're doing an extra side every time. So there's that. In terms of chart for you in general, when you're recovering or stretch, do you prefer stretching or foam rolling? Or I say foam rolling, but you know, like
I do both. So
okay,
I do like I have this ball.
yeah,
This big
perfect, yeah,
ball
lovely.
I like
Okay,
roll out my body with, and then I have like the foam roller
okay, lovely,
that I roll.
lovely. I love it. Okay, I have the bumpy version of that, but that's great. So in terms of, I would say first and foremost, when you're doing soft tissue work, bless you, Meg, for doing the adductors, because no one likes to do that one.
I do because nobody does it, and it's
I know.
one that I find people, especially people will be like, my hips, my hamstrings, my quads hurt,
Yeah.
and I'm rolling all of those out, and I'm like, yeah, but if you're doing a bunch of climbing, are you rolling your adductors? Because yeah, it's like, oh, and the biggest one is, oh, my knee hurts. I
Yeah.
climb and then so it'll be like post Sunday run, they'll be like, my knee hurt. And I'm like, you did a lot of climbing yesterday. Did you stretch? Did you stretch and did you roll your adductor? No.
Sure.
Like that's why your knee hurts probably.
It's also just, yeah, it's a hard one to get. So into this fact, let's just kind of do we'll keep it to the lower body.
Feels so
Like that
good.
seems like a more applicable thing for us today. Whenever we're doing any kind of foam rolling, okay, or soft tissue work or stretching, I say this, I've said this before, but just in case, you should be able to take a big breath in through your nose
Oh.
and a full exhale. So even if the foam roller makes you want to throw up a little bit, first of all, compression is step one. Okay, I have a long guy here. That's okay. If we're doing the adductor, right? I'm literally just gonna place my leg on it first. So I'm laying down sideways. We'll do your hamstring, I promise, Tashar. We'll get there. I know that for me, towards the knee is where I get really cranky, and I know that causes me a lot of discomfort. So I'm gonna start in the middle of my leg because I know that's a little less painful. So it's over the middle of my leg. I'm kind of holding a plank shape here. Now, nice thing about this is my elbows and my opposite leg can kind of prop up and take weight off of the foam roller if compression is too much. So I know that I can take a big breath in through my nose, right? So I'm just laying on this thing. I'm not doing anything crazy, okay? Now, movement's optional. So I'm gonna still pretty comfy. I can extend my leg.
Oh.
Maybe not, okay? If that's too much, we don't. A little bit of movement here. Movement's optional, so if you're like, whoo, go ahead and relax. Maybe we're just going compression today, okay?
So that was that noise was just me and my PF. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But mostly that's just like
Everything's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine.
just, I mean, just the class in general, right? But like in just sort of one of those things where now I will say, you don't have to go here, Meg, but if you're feeling fancy and you feel like you got this part, you can then maybe internally, actually maybe not.
Yeah, baby.
Just like a slight internal rotation of the hip. So foot comes up, hold, contract, relax, and then come. So this is not really a ton, right? I'm in the middle of my adductor here. That's the inseam for anyone curious. You can move downwards or around, but sometimes you just need to get a little bit of input. You don't have to go crazy on this thing. I went to the spot that hurts, which is fine. So I might not move here because that's feeling pretty spicy, and that's fine. But if I do feel okay, I can move a little bit. I'm extending my foot. I can maybe lift up a little. Again, this is all kind of totally optional, but compression is always gonna be step one. I will say always, if possible, try and treat both sides because you'll feel weird if you can even bias one side more than the other. But not say looking for unless it's completely uneven.
Oh.
Are you going for like QL there, Meg? Going up for like
Yeah, I have to say I did the front of my hamstrings.
Yeah.
And my my glutes felt so much better doing
Yeah.
the front of my hamstring. I know it all makes sense, but it always
Well, it does, but
it never ceases to amaze me.
I agree. I agree. So I'm gonna shorten this side. I'll make sure to do this a little more later. I think for glutes and hamstring, I think we all pretty much know the figure 4 stretch, but just in case, right? We have this guy where so we're laying down, leg crossed over, reach through, knee to chest. If that feels fine, you're like, you feel enough of a stretch, but you want something more. You can always use a foam roller if you'd like. With this one, so from the side, if I'm gonna do my right leg, right? I'm gonna sit on it first. So you're kind of doing almost like a tabletop position. I cross my right leg over and just lean to my right hip. This might be enough. You can roll around a bit. It's a pretty broad stroke, right? Pretty dull. You can kind of just noodle around on this thing. Depending on some sensitivities, you don't have to go towards the bony structure of your pelvis, but you can. I feel pretty okay about that. So this is just kind of a generic way to approach it. Right. This might be enough. Again, movement's gonna be optional on this one. The thing that's
Joseph always does a lot of good stretching like this when we do yoga on Monday, but we didn't do yoga yesterday, so this, I can tell that I missed my Monday
Yeah.
for my big weekend. Well, big for me considering coming back.
Yeah, no, that's big. Let me try to, I feel like I need to find a ball for this. They're all in our bedroom, which is why they're not here.
I got some.
Here you go.
This one's my favorite for travel. It's cork, so it's super light.
Yeah, I have something similar, but I found a lacrosse ball, which will do the trick.
Yeah, I have a bunch of lacrosse balls, which I love, but I like to throw this one in my suitcase because it's small. Oh, hello. Did you want to say hello?
Beep, beep.
Hello. Yes, that is a ball. No, I'm not playing.
I understand. I work in a gym with a dog that likes toys. So I'm aware here that this ball and that couch don't make a lot of sense. So I'm still gonna demonstrate what I'm talking about because this works. So at least it works for me. It does require a seat. In terms of ball size, the bigger, kind of that big blue one you have there, it's perfect, right? It's nice and large. It means it's gonna be less acute. You're gonna find your sit bone and roll forward. So I'm aware that this is a couch, so it doesn't really work all that well. But if I find my sit bone, if I'm holding myself, that's fine. And then I'm gonna it's kind of just towards my knee. So if I'm sitting on something appropriately hard, because this makes no sense on a couch, I can either sit on it and just sit on it. If it's too much, I put my hands between my legs and push up to take weight off. Or I can pump my leg, kind of like you were doing with the adductor thing. And what's nice about the insertion piece is it's generally pretty gentle and you have full control of how you're approaching that. But it does require a seat. So there's that. The other hamstring thing that you can do, we'll finish off with this one, is if you're laying down, right, it's gonna be in bed in the morning. Also great for PF, by the way, for anyone with wood stuff, is knees are flat. And I'm just gonna gently, without really overdoing it, pull my knee towards my chest, whatever that looks like, okay? My knee is bent here. And then from here, I'm gonna just extend my leg. So I'm gonna extend, breathe in, contract, and then exhale, relax, right? So getting this potentially to lengthen, obviously not pushing past what I can't breathe through, but I'm releasing some of this, getting my glute, my hamstring to release. The contract, relax is breathe in, contract, flex, and then breathe out, right? Getting close to my chest. Super easy to do, but like in the morning, you're not pushing past anything you can't tolerate. But it does help for me anyway. So we're not looking at like straight legging it, right? Which is totally fine. But keeping the knee bent accentuates the hamstring element versus the back of the calf too. So gently knee towards the chest. So I would say passively where it stops. From there, breathe in, flex, gently try and straighten your leg, and then exhale. Let the weight of your leg pull you forward, right? So I'm not like pulling in, I'm really just letting my relaxed part, my leg just sort of drops down. So I'm just guiding it there, not pushing it there. If you've recently strained a hamstring, don't do that. Don't do this. Okay. That's against medical advice and common sense. Okay. There's no need. Excellent work today. You jumping for fun, Meg, or just toasting your toe?
I'm doing my pogos that I have to do all day. Return to run pogos. And then I have to do the leg ones.
Beautiful. I hope some of those were helpful, or maybe sometime, maybe a little repetitive. I'm sure you've seen a few of those.
That was really great. My hips feel much better. Thank you, Coach.
You're very welcome. Yeah, I will say if we can add in some recovery towards the end, we can definitely down regulate before kind of going into the rest of the day. Best of luck this weekend. I hope you have a great time.
Yeah, knock it out of the park, Tashara.
Is it your first time or you've done before?
My one and only.
That's so exciting.
But I'm
It's
ready.
not her first triathlon, but it is her first Alcatraz.
That's great.
I'm like, I think I'm putting the triathlon shoes up after this one.
Yeah, what are you gonna do after? Run,
Um,
biking?
I think I want to. Oh, I have the SF half marathon in July,
Cool.
and I'm gonna want to do High Rocks,
Yeah.
which is in November.
Okay.
So